Hi all, I'm Juan Cole. I'm the editor of an exciting new volume at IB Tauris, Bloomsbury, Peace Movements in Islam. And you can tell we're swimming against the stream here. I've spent my life studying Islamic civilization, Muslim societies, from the time of the Prophet right up until the present. And in recent decades, I've been dismayed to see the whole enterprise of Islam really put under the sign of violence in Europe and the Americas. This is grossly unfair. All societies have their violence or wars and violent movements. Certainly, Europe and the Americas are no strangers to those things. And I'm also deeply interested in peace history and peace studies, the ways in which peace movements and peace congresses have shaped human rights law, international law, really given us some of the framework under which we now live with the United Nations and the International Criminal Court. And peace studies has been professionalized. There are MA programs, there are PhD programs, there are refereed journals. Its practitioners have looked into religious history to some extent, but almost exclusively have treated Christian movements. And when I looked at the literature, I just didn't find much in the way of writing about Islam and peace, even though that is a rich field for research. So a colleague of mine, Samar Ali, and I got together and went to our International Institute at the University of Michigan for funding for a project on Islamic peace studies, out of which we were able to hold two major conferences in Ann Arbor. And it was from the work of the contributors to these conferences and also some other contributors that we drew the chapters for this book, which is not the very first book on peace and Islam, but it's among the first, and I believe it is the most wide-ranging because we go from the Quran itself into medieval Sufism and then a wide range of modern movements. Those Muslim freedom fighters who were trying to get the British back out of British India and gain independence for the country, many of them adopted the philosophy of nonviolent non-cooperation and interpreted it in Quranic terms. Some of them were associated with Mahatma Gandhi and his movement, but they were original thinkers in their own rights. They have been much neglected in this regard. Then we have chapters in the book on the Murid movement in Senegal, which is an explicitly pacifist movement, which did not take up arms against the French, but worked in other ways to establish themselves and ultimately did play a role in Senegal gaining its independence. We have a chapter on women's peace work in Bosnia after the war. We have a chapter on American Muslims and their civil society activities in the Trump era. So it's a very wide-ranging and, if I may say so myself, scintillating volume, which will be an eye-opener, I think, for everyone who approaches it. And let me say something quick also about one of my other books at IB Tauris, my retranslation of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. This is a classic of world literature, became enormously influential and well known in the translation of the Victorian figure, Edward Fitzgerald, but I think gradually has lost that recognition in our generation. People don't know it as well. And so I was eager to bring it to the attention of contemporary readers by putting it in contemporary English. I've also setting it in its historical context. The reason that it intersects with the project on Islamic peace studies is that it might be thought of as a secular-minded approach to the world by a set of Muslim poets who are not so hung up on the hereafter, but want to urge people to enjoy life while they have it down here. And there's love poetry, there's wine poetry, and it's a kind of enjoyment that they urge on people that does not involve taking advantage of other people or harming them. So it's a kind of ethical Epicureanism. I enjoy this poetry tremendously. It was a great pleasure to translate it, and I hope that you will as well enjoy it. And I think it also gives us a glimpse of a very different way of being Muslim, which has been highly influential through the centuries. So thank you very much, and you keep reading, I'll keep writing.